Hi, everyone. This is Christian-apologist.com. It's S.J. Thomason. We're on here with Dr. Miklos Lukacs, and he is an amazing person who is from Peru. He has multiple master's degrees, and he has a PhD in management with specializations in science, technology, policy. And he's currently in the United Kingdom, but he plans to come to Florida, which I just learned a few minutes ago. And so Joel and I are also in Florida, and Joel has been on my channel before with me interviewing some pretty great people, and he's here again, and he's going to help out in this interview, and I'm very excited. So maybe we'll start with Dr. Lukacs, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background and what is going to bring you to this discussion of the Great Reset and also transhumanism.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And I'm Peruvian. I am a research professor of science and technology policy at a Peruvian university. Previously, I taught at ESAN, which is a leading business school in Peru, then at the universities of Essex and Manchester in the UK. And I've done consulting, I've done, the typical work that academics do outside academia also. And now, since 2016 April, I shifted my research interests based on an article that was published by the World Economic Forum, which is basically the fourth industrial revolution, which is what brings me now here. And these are the topics that I'm discussing. Basically, it comes from the first intuition, now the certainty that all these changes are not spontaneous, they are directed, they have a purpose. And it's not good for us. It's good for a few. And I think that's worth fighting against, of course.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Great Reset. And I just want to ask you what this is, because many people are not familiar with this term. And it sounds as something positive. It sounds like something good, because we've heard people like, what's the name of the guy from Canada? Trudeau. He says,
Trudeau.
Yeah, Trudeau said, "Oh, we need to build back, everything better. We hear
build back better.
Yeah, build
it's
things
Trudeau,
better.
It's Boris Johnson. It's in the States. It's spontaneous.
Yeah, and it sounds as something, as we're talking about a positive thing, like we can build something better because everything was devastated by this pandemic, but now we can take things back and make things better. It sounds like a positive thing. So my question is, what is the Great Reset? Can you explain to us what that is? Because many people have no idea what we're talking about here.
Yes, well, let's start with this certain principle. One of these principles is the sweetest, the narrative, the bitter is the post-narrative reality. That's number one. So the sweeter they talk to you, the worse it will be for you. It's as simple as that. So they are trying to make it easier, to make this forced transition. But the Great Reset, you have to contextualize this concept. It comes up with this idea that, well, we call the progressive agenda, which is topped up by the environment. The environmental agenda is on top of everything. It justifies, and from there it stems the other agendas, which are pro-abortion, LGBT rights, feminism, animalism, multiculturalism. So all these isms stem from this great environmental agenda. Now, the idea is that, and the rationale behind is that there are too many people in this planet, and we have to do something to lower the population. This is not conspiracy theory. This has been openly discussed by Ted Turner, for example, from CNN, by Bill Gates, and all these what's so-called philanthropists, which are basically the guys that run the show behind lines. These are the men and women that control the world. It's not Biden, America. It's not the European Union. These are the political power has been privatized through philanthropy. So I give you money. I'm supporting the cause. Basically, I'm purchasing your organization, and I will use it to advance my interests. Now, when you talk about the environmental agenda, so there's so many people, and we have to do something to control the population. This has a demographic purpose. And now I would like to recommend people, because I don't like just to talk, so they don't say, oh, this guy is just talking for nonsense. Please buy this book, The War Against Population by Jacqueline Kaysen. This lady, who just passed some years ago, PhD from Columbia, so no one can say that she's an ignorant, when Columbia was a respectable university, by the way. And they can read this book, which is absolutely documented. And it says, there's a purpose of reducing the population. Now, the idea behind the Great Reset is as follows. So the climate is being damaged, extremely damaged. By whom? By the human plague. And they will say, well, why are you exaggerating? Human plague. Well, David Attenborough, I don't know if you know this guy from England who does all these documentaries. He's a zoologist. He has a very, very soft voice and he sounds so nice. Well, this guy referred to humans as a human plague. And it's a concept that is shared by all these, philanthropes and the elite, what people call the elite. Mm-hmm. So the human plague is destroying the planet through which tool? Capitalism. Capitalism, because capitalism means extracting resources, and the rationale behind capitalism, as soon as you accumulate some capital, you have some returns over your investment, you reinvest those returns and generate more wealth. So it's a non-stop mechanism. That's basically capitalism. Okay, so the rationale is simple. What we have to do is we have to stop people using the tool, which is capitalism, which is destroying the planet, and on top of that, or parallel to that, we have to reduce the population or control it. Mm-hmm. That's the whole Great Reset. That's the real thing behind it. What's the narrative they tell us? Oh, we have so many problems, climate change, racism, problems that, of course, are invented because racism has existed for centuries, and now it's an epidemic. And everyone says, well, the racists are really those guys concerned so much about race. Because, yes, you will find racist people, but it is not the pandemic of racism that they say they have. Mm-hmm. And that's a lie. Portraying every single American as racist, portraying every single person, a white person, for the sake of being white, is just racist. That's stupid. It's utterly a lie. Mm-hmm. So they need that because what they have done is the Hegelian dialectic. So, for example, the master-slave narrative, which Marx later used as the proletarian capitalist conflict.
The bourgeoisies and the proletariat.
Yes. Now what you have is the same rationale. For example, men against women, feminism, homosexuals against heterosexuals, LGBT, and then you will have old versus young people. You will have I don't know, you name it. But these are the polarizations. And this comes under the banner of identity politics. Identity politics is politics based on shared, not even values, but a shared community for the single reason of a physical trait or a characteristic. It's not based on values or ideals. You create partisanship just by sharing one trait. So, for example, Black Lives Matter. That's an extreme expression of identity politics, the result of identity politics. You will have Antifa again, and then you will have, I don't know, at some point, maybe people will say the Black deaf community, and then the red-haired blind people. And you can just fragment society as much as you want based on certain shared characteristics, which are not ideals or values. The only ideal is, we are oppressed. So it runs up with this victimization culture. We're all victims. And this sells very well because, unfortunately, due to the educational system, especially in the past 10, 15 years, younger people have been raised without the same, let's say, strength and endurance against adversity. They have been taught that they have a right to have everything and they are the center of the universe. So the work ethics is completely changed, not to say that it has been absolutely eroded. So you could this plus the economic situation, it's harder in America, for example, I know, to have home ownership. For the young people, it's almost impossible. So you get all these social problems, plus the culture of victimization. And what you have is just disaster. That's the reality of it. So to go back to the Great Reset is, okay, let's stop destroying Mother Earth. Let's stop using capitalism and its tools as a means of destroying planet Earth, and let's control the people. And if you wonder, when you have this one, or you can even read Stephen Mosher, which is an expert on China. Stephen Mosher is also a guy that has written plenty about demographic control. This is not conspiracy. The conspiracy guys are on the other side.
I want to actually, let me just ask a question building off of what you said, because I find what you're saying extremely fascinating. And I don't know if you've read the book Naked Communist by Skousen, Skousen.
No.
Cleon Skousen. He was an FBI agent in the 40s, and he recognized what was going on with the communists and how they infiltrated the political party. And they set up these goals in the early 1960s, and he laid them out in his book. And a lot of the stuff that they had planned to do, we're seeing today. A lot of these things that you'd mentioned, like this idea of division and breaking down families and pro-abortion and all of those kind of things, those were laid out a long time ago, and we're seeing it today. And so I think it's very scary. I just wanted to make a quick comment. And I love the fact that you want to hit a lot. There's some serious major political things going on. Just before Joel has his question, I want to say something. You have more rights as an eagle egg or a turtle egg here in the United States than you do as an unborn child. So eagle eggs and turtle eggs are protected under certain laws where you can be fined or thrown in prison for somehow destroying them, but you can just easily destroy a baby inside of you. And the last thing I'll say is it's easier and safer to be the worst place to be, I should say, as a black male is in New York City, an unborn black male, because there's a high likelihood that you'll be aborted, or female, a black person, I should say, black male or female, very dangerous because there's a high likelihood of being aborted. And so more than being born. And so it's actually gotten really tragic what's happened since Roe versus Wade, and 60 million people, unborn people, have died.
Yes, it's the largest genocide in human history. Yes, period.
There's something that when I was reading all of this, when I was preparing for this interview, there's something I'm not understanding, because when you read what the Great Reset would do, which is resetting capitalism, testing it to its final bound, so we can reset this whole thing. That would mean that this trickle-down economics, it would actually affect billionaires. And then my other question would be, if it affects billionaires, people like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and so on, why would they be backing this? Like, there's a disconnect that I'm not understanding here.
That's a good question.
It's a wonderful question. It's a wonderful question. Yeah, go ahead.
When something affects me, I'm going to be against that. And then I'm seeing that they are actually promoting this thing. And I'm like, there's something I'm missing here, because this is supposed to be, really bad for you, because you're going to be losing a lot of billions of dollars. And they're the ones backing it.
That's a wonderful question, because it touches upon what people might think, well, these guys are crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And it does make a lot of sense. First of all, the limitations are two. People don't understand that the billionaires or centi-billionaires' minds are completely different than normal people. Their goals are completely different. And number two is a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding of technological possibilities today. Now, the question I would ask you is, why would you like to have so much money? What would you do with that money? What does that money allow you to do?
Lots of things. I could buy all kinds of things. I could buy a car. I could buy houses. I could have, I could help people. There's so many things I could do with money.
Well, you're a good guy. You can help people, but not everybody wants to help people. So, for example, you would basically satisfy all your basic and non-basic needs. So non-basic needs, your desires, your wishes, or whatever. Yes? Okay. Now, that's the perspective of a regular person. A centi-billionaire, and there are a few studies, I have delved into them. There are a few, but you can find them on Google Scholar. By the way, when I say something, it's properly researched. That's why I'm a researcher. So I'm not just saying Bilderberg, Illuminati, or I'm substantiating every response. The psychological profile of billionaires is completely different. What they have found, a common trait among them, is a messianic complex. They really think they are gods. They have made it. They are the expression of success. And because they have been so successful, they know how to do things right. And you, minor loser, shut up because you know nothing. I am a proof of success. So when you have, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 6, $190 billion, $10 billion less, $65 billion less is absolutely irrelevant to you. It's as simple as that, because you know that you are already in a system where if you lose so much money, you can come back and make at some point as much money as you want. It's being part of that exclusive circuit of finance and technology, and the elite, the political connections that secures your place in the circle of power. Now, money is a means, just that, and they do understand that very well. It's not an end, as many regular people will say, oh, my end is to become a millionaire. For them, it's a means. For what? For exercising power. Now, when you have a messianic complex and you have shown the world how good you are and how successful you are, you think that you have the responsibility to teach others and show others how things should be. And you have your own visions of the world, your own view of progress, what progress means. And then if you see, for example, and this is not a conspiracy, you can see that the discourse of billionaires is almost exactly the same.
Yes.
They always talk about progress in terms of we. They appropriate the we. They talk for us. In the name of humanity, we will have to move forward, to leave back all these old structures, all these old thinking and old beliefs. And we have to move forward. And technology, that's why when you talk about progressivism, it's a US-based movement by the end of the 19th century. It took force with Clinton, 1990s, the internet, the internet boom, and the internet companies and stuff. Well, at the core of progressive thinking in the 21st century is science and technology as the main tools for reform. It's not a political issue, it's a scientific and technological issue. That's the first thing that people have to understand. It is not about politics. It's about technology and the possibilities that technology opens. This is crucial. You will not understand politics and economics in the 21st century if you don't understand technology and science. And that means understanding what kind of technologies are currently they are working on, who owns those technologies. You will see they all conduct, all the roads lead to Rome. All the roads lead to the philanthropists. And they own the major technology. So let's put it this way. You have so much money. Your goal is not to make more money. You have enough money. You have money as you find sand on a beach. So it's not a motivation. Your motivation is to exercise power, to leave a legacy, to transcend. But to transcend in secular terms, because they don't believe in God. They are gods. That's how they conceive that. It's no surprise that among these billionaires and these economic elites, you will find that secularism is just the standard. Yes. Because they don't believe in God. They are basically gods.
Yeah, they're atheists. I did look that up. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they're all atheists.
All of them. That's number one. And number two, you actually don't need money. What makes you happy, what makes you get things done and gets you things for you is power. And for that, you don't need money. Now, it's not about money. It's about data. Data gives you power. By data, you will know, for example, I can know everything about you. I can know everything about Miss Thomason. I can know everything. So I don't need money. I just say, you know what, Joel, I know what you did last summer. So I need you to do this for me.
Yeah, I know what you've been doing on your internet.
Exactly. I don't need money. I need data. That's why they say correctly, data is the most important asset in the 21st century. The more data you have, the better off you will be. Because by having data, you have real power over others. You know their entire lives, their profiles, their thinking, their interactions, where they have been. You know like absolutely everything for every single individual in this world. Not so far at this point. That's why they are so obsessed of providing global internet coverage, of course they say we want to give access to people and the opportunities to people, but the reality is that they want more control over more people. It's as simple as that. The more data they can get, big data, the concept of big data, which feeds the algorithms of artificial intelligence, that's what they need. So it's not a matter of money. They can do whatever they want. And with regards to their businesses, we are thinking in terms of capitalism, but the reality is that what would make someone happier? Well, if I have all my needs satisfied, if I have surplus, if I can enjoy luxury, do you think they won't do that? They don't need people anymore. There's going to be an extreme impact on the labor markets once artificial intelligence technologies are full blown out there. Millions of jobs are going to be lost. Millions. That's why they are talking about universal basic income. It's a way of saying, okay, until you finish your cycle of death, because it would be too obvious to put you in gas chambers. So we have to deal with this liability that you are, human plague. So we'll give you some kind of tip until you sustain yourself, and perhaps you will decide to commit suicide because all the laws are there for you to commit suicide legally, and that's why they are promoting euthanasia. So we will just have you there, and once your cycle of life is completed, well, thank God, good riddance, we are less in the planet. That's
wow.
So having euthanasia, abortion, and all of these things would make the planet much better in the sense that we can get rid of human beings. And since we are warming the planet, the less human beings we have on the planet, the better it becomes.
Of course, it becomes more livable. You have to provide a rationale to implement these kind of extreme measures, which go against every single fundamental right of every human being in this planet. Using the what do we call them, in the dog protectors, muscles? How do you call that?
Yeah, the muscle.
To use the masks. Okay, these are just basically, they are not masks. That the message is not, oh, we are protecting you. No, the message is we are standardizing you, we are submitting you, and you have to you have to abide to full compliance, otherwise you will be punished. It's a way of disciplining societies. It's that masks have no usefulness.
Yeah,
They're absolutely useless.
What you're saying is so important, because I'm thinking about the distinction between California and Florida. And California, they're forcing people still in lockdowns. They boarded up businesses. People have worse rates of COVID there than they do in Florida, where we've been completely open for business for months. My kids have been in school physically since August. It's wonderful. And so it's just what they're doing in California. I see playing out what you're saying.
Well, you have a wonderful governor there, Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. He's
I am a great admirer of Ron DeSantis, of Donald Trump. Oh, Trump is, I don't care what you think. I love Trump. He's a wonderful man, very strong. And I hope he returns to power at some point. What has happened is that, let's put it this way. When you talk about abortion, euthanasia, think about this. I will answer a lot of questions, by the way, with this answer. It's going to take me some time, but it needs to be framed in this way. Otherwise, it won't make sense. Let's talk about abortion, and then we can link it to transhumanism, which is, I think, one of the topics you wanted to talk. Okay, so let's remember that Great Reset narrative, which is basically the underlying assumption is that there's climate change, the human plague is destroying it through capitalism, so we have to reduce population and make people don't go to capitalism. We will provide welfare state, basically, okay? Now, when you think about demographic control, you have many ways. You can control the demographics by killing people. That's reducing the population. You can control demographics by inhibiting reproduction. That's another way of not reducing it, but controlling it. And you can reduce the population by killing people, euthanasia, openly. So let's put it this way. Let's go step by step by the major ideologies and agendas of this progressive agenda. Let's say first, abortion. Abortion doesn't reduce the population. It just doesn't allow it to increase. But there's a rationale behind abortion. Abortion is the most fundamental, if I would point out the most fundamental destruction to our civilization is the approval, the legalization of abortion. Because based on this of this principle of life, the right to live, all other rights make sense because of it. If you don't have humans, the concepts of freedom, liberty, justice, inclusion, exclusion, solidarity, whatever, tolerance, do not make any sense. So these are all concepts attached to the human condition, which means the human condition is the experience of being a human being. No other animal except Homo sapiens has a human condition.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are able to play music, to compose music, to paint. They are able to philosophize. They are able to write novels. That's part of the human condition. So when you have life, you have access. You all those other rights stem from this right to live. That's the most fundamental right of all. When you approve abortion, what you do de facto, means factually, is you are transforming a human being. And listen to this word. We have to be very careful when we talk against this progressive cancer. When you talk about human beings, it's correct. It's better to refer to us as human beings for one single reason. When you use the category person,
Mm-hmm.
it's as open and as relative to discussion as the word gender. You can interpret person in many, many ways. So they say, oh, it's not a person, therefore we have the right to kill it. Oh, when is it a person? Well, it can be at 12 weeks or 14 weeks because the central nervous system has been formed, so now it feels, but no, that's not enough. Actually, it's when it's actually born, when
Mm-hmm.
it breathes for the first time. No, that's not really. It's actually a person when it can that person can take or make decisions consciously and independently. The point to exemplify this idea is that you can interpret person in many single ways, in many
Yeah.
different ways. But what you cannot do is you cannot interpret the concept of human being. Human being is a scientifically based concept. You love science, believe in science. Okay, let's talk in scientific terms. Human beings. And human beings are, and this is scientifically proven and scientifically established, when you have an egg, which is fertilized by sperm, then you have a zygote, a morula, a blastocyst, and then you have an embryo, a fetus, and whatever. The category of human being goes from the moment it is conceived with a single, unique, and non-repeatable kind of a DNA, and that condition of human being going through different stages is going to have a continuity.
Yes.
Until the death of that human being and beyond. And beyond. Okay? So what does that mean? Let's say someone has died. You can take a sample of hair or skin or bone, and you can take a DNA, and you will determine, for instance, a factual truth that man is XY, woman is X chromosomes. So someone who thought of him or of himself as being a woman, I'm sorry. I mean, your DNA speaks otherwise.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So what's the point here? So I am checking. Raw nakedness puts that there's no such thing as scientific proof. Yes, there is. Yes, there is such thing as scientific proof. You can find it. I mean, I don't want to clash with the religious views, but it is a fact that you can have scientific proof.
I think what you're talking about is when we talk about philosophy, there's like we have the soft sciences and the hard sciences. Like when we talk about proof, we often use those terms for things like philosophy and mathematics. Let's say 2 + 2 is 4. That is true. It's not a fact. It's true, and the proof of that, there's no evidence that 2 + 2 is 4. There's proof. The proof, not the evidence. The proof that 2 + 2 is 4 is the impossibility of the contrary.
Okay,
2 + 2 cannot be anything other than 4. So again, we have no evidence that 2 + 2 is 4.
If you allow me, you are talking then about axioms.
Okay.
So you will start from a very subjective truth to more objective truth. So subjective truths, you will put at the bottom, the most relative and the most, there's no consensus on that. That's a truth, but it can be my truth. Is that, for example, you start at the phenomenological level. This means the experience of the human being individually. My experience as a human being is different as yours, and there's our people living in Africa or whatever. Each of us has its own view of the world. So we can have truths that are true for ourselves. Like, for example, for me, the most wonderful ice cream is chocolate, to say something. But for you, it will be strawberry. For other one, it will be vanilla. Now, these are these are truths based on my own experience, but they cannot be accepted as general truth. There's no consensus. Now, then you will reach to a second level, which is, let's say, the agreement or consensus of truth. And that, for example, then you will come up with religion. Religion will put you in this category. And I'm just understand that I'm interpreting this from a secular perspective. Okay. And I just want to make sense of the mental framework. I understand that my many Catholic friends, they don't discuss their truths. Their truths are absolute truths, and I respect that. But let's put it this way from a secular perspective. Then you will have this consensus-based truth, which is religion. It's not only me, it's not only you, but tens, hundreds, thousands of people who agree that something is true. Okay, so Jesus is the Son of God, true. Muhammad, is the prophet of Allah, truth. Let's put it that way. Now, that's a very subjective thing. Muslims will not be able to prove to Christians that Muhammad is the prophet. Do you understand my point?
Yes.
Then you will move to a more objective truth, which is facts. Facts are, for example, that if I tell you what color is my cactus here, you will say, green. What color is it? Green. We can all agree that it is true that it is green. It's not necessarily because it's green. It's just the rays of light, that are shaping that kind of tone. For someone who has problems with their vision, that will not be a truth because he will view the world differently. But that will be a phenomenological view of the world. We can reach an agreement that if I throw something to the, and I drop it, it will fall down. That's the law of gravity. It doesn't matter if you like the ice cream, the chocolate ice cream more, if you're Muslim or you're Christian, independent of those views of truth that you have. That is a factual truth. And then come axioms, which are mathematical proofs, for example. Mathematical proofs, mathematical laws. They are indisputable. They are kind of otherworldly. To put it, they work at a universal level.
Yeah, it's just in the sense that you can have things that are true and not be factual, and things that are factual and they are not true. One example of that comes to mind is the case of O.J. Simpson. If you read through all of the evidence that was presented, they even provided the DNA evidence. DNA is something that no one is going to dispute. So they said that the impossibility of that DNA not being his was 1 in 21 billion. That means no scientist is going to disagree with that. But yet, once the judge and the jury looked at the evidence, they determined that he was not guilty. So that means it is a fact that he's not guilty. That's factual. No one can argue that.
That's a factual outcome, but the interpretation process of the judges was, it is based. Some other judge may have ruled guilty, so it comes to interpretation. But no. Beyond this discussion, what I want to prove, I want not prove. What I want to lay out.
Okay. Yeah, keep laying it out. Because I love that you've touched on so many different topics and woven it all together under this idea of great reset. So please feel free.
Let's put it this way. So I'm going back to the idea of abortion, and we were talking about freedom, and we were talking about the rights that stem from life. But then I say that the main attack to civilization, as we know it, is once you cross that line and you approve abortion, because abortion means the de facto transition from humans from being subjects of rights to objects. This transition is crucial. This is what breaks the dam and allows for the destruction of our entire way of living. Abortion. Why? Because once you break that line, there's no kinship, there's no solidarity, there's no what sustains us as a species from a natural, not even instinctive perspective. It's all blown out.
Mm-hmm.
Why? When you transform a human being, not a person, a human being, into an object, what can you do with objects? For example, I have this mouse here. With this mouse, I can, if it doesn't work, what do? I drop it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can, I can fix it, or I can paint it red, or I can, make modifications and start experimenting with it. You see, abortion is the disposal. doing experiments with 14-day-old human embryos is what I have just said, painting the thing here. If I decide to buy and sell, I can also do it with humans. Surrogate mothers. I can buy, let's manufacture a boy, or let's manufacture a girl. In India, different market price. It's low quality, but if you do it in Spain, in Sweden, now that's top quality. Mm-hmm. Certain physical traits will be more valued. So, ensure me that the donor has certain characteristics. And you see, the market plays its own role, and it determines the price. So it's all, and sorry, I know this expression, but sorry for all this BS. The end is as follows. Once you make this transition, there's the damage you are causing to society itself and to you at the end, because all these idiots that are promoting this agenda, they are not aware that at the end it will reach them also at some point, because the criteria will be, okay, you know what, it's her body, her choice. And then they will say, well, you know what, like in Iceland, Down syndrome children, we should not really, so you can abort it. We encourage you to abort as Down syndrome kids. Or then it will be, you know what, climate change is so hard, we're going to start aborting, white people with blue eyes, because they are going to suffer with all the X-rays, and whatever rays of the sun and radiation. So let's be kind. So the point is as follows. You can set up any arbitrary category of discrimination, for in the name of inclusion, diversity, tolerance, and respect, do totally the opposite. And that's the problem. Once you instrumentalize a human being in such a way, you have opened the door for disaster. And check this out. This is where transhumanism comes. And I am going to go over the question. What is transhumanism? And this is something I have been talking about.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to ask a brief question before we transition into that. Just to bring up something positive. What do you think we can do? Like, now we heard how bad the Great Reset is. But so many people, so many Christians, in general, they say, hey, look, I don't want to be involved in politics. Leave me out of that stuff. But I want to do something. What can we do? Do we have to get into politics? What can we do to stop this?
Two things make people move. One's when they get hit, or when they touch their wallets. It's these are universal laws. People will start reacting when they are feeling the consequences, not when they watch them on TV. No, when they are feeling them themselves, when they see that the bills are not being paid at the end of the month, when the economic situation is so bad, when jobs are scarce, when they see the state getting involved, and in such an obtrusive way where they teach their own children more than the parents are able to teach them, when they change their psyche and their mind by telling them, oh yes, you can be whatever you can be. This is where I want to go, because this is, I think, very, very important. This is very important. My son is there. If you allow me 1 minute, even 1 minute, 30 seconds, I just
no
need
problem.
to tell him. Thank you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just gonna fill in really quick. So I was just saying all of this, and we had this little bit of back and forth, with the definition of truth and fact. And that's because I understand that many people have different definitions on truth and facts. But yeah, he has a different definition from mine, and I respect that.
Well, you're speaking at one of the things that, I mean, in truth and fact, it reminds me of the whole debate about objective morality and whether or not it exists. And that also speaks into this conversation, because we believe that we have objective moral duties and values to do what's right. And you define that as justice and fairness and all that kind of stuff. And so that's another thing, Dr. Lukacs, another thing that people deny is this idea of objective morality. It's the same people who are the secularists who are trying to say that we don't have these objective moral duties to do what's right and to be just and fair. And yet they call on you to do that.
Oh, no. Well, ethical discussions are even more complicated, because you will find, virtue ethics. Aristotelian ethics has certain views of virtue, the golden standard or the golden mean. So you will find truth. I think virtue ethics has truth. There's a wonderful author, Alasdair MacIntyre, who has written a lot about virtue ethics, which I recommend very much. Then you will have, deontological ethics or deontology, Kantian, Kant basically has paraphrased what Christians have been saying centuries before, but he has applied it in secular terms. So full and violable principles a priori. You just don't do them because it's bad to do them, period. So you won't do them because that's how things work. And then you will have consequentialist ethics, like, for example, utilitarianism, which is the dominant ethical paradigm today, and all what it stems. Things are good because they are useful. And, you started with the greatest happiness principle of Bentham, but then it diverted, and people like Peter Singer from Australia came in and said, yes, it's utilitarian hedonism. It comes with pleasure also. And you have the transhumanists like David Pearce. I have an interview. I interviewed him. You can watch my YouTube channel. That interview is in English, where he just says, in the future, happiness will be based on, or something will be useful if it's pleasurable. And that's what they advocate. A life is worth living. It's a good life if it's a pleasurable life. But anyways, not to distort my then we just
thank you. No, that's a great little summary nugget there.
Yes. Well, you have also Humean ethics, but I'm not getting to that. I'm not getting into there now. But let's put it this way. So you have the possibility to experiment. And I said, once you have abortion, you open the door for all these disasters.
Yes.
Think, for instance, remember this, and then I'm going to come back to this abortion issue. Second, let's think about gender ideology. What gender ideology is doing, basically, at the bottom, at the core, is this idea that we want to limit procreation. We're going to generate confusion. But at the end, you are limiting procreation. You are not reducing the population. You are not allowing it to grow. And you can have LGBT causes exactly the same. Because of their sexual orientation and preferences, they won't procreate. Then you are not reducing the population, but you're limiting it. Then you can talk about feminism. And everyone is just, yes, feminism is about empowerment. And feminism is so wonderful. Let's put it this way. Feminism at the end is the criminalization of men approaching women.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. All this empowerment is, don't get close to me, because if we get together, we can have more kids. So I am empowered. And you're a threat. And don't be nasty, you heteropatriarchal, mean person. The whole discourse that comes out there is that repression of human sexuality and the criminalization, de facto criminalization of men approaching women for the purposes that have been for centuries out there. So you will have the phenomenon of incels, for example, involuntary celibates. These young men and women, young men that have never had any kind of, not even sexual intercourse, not even approached women because they are so scared. Now a girl can say whatever she wants on a court, and that will be sufficient cause to open a lawsuit against a man, and perhaps will end in jail. So no, men are scared. It's not that women are more powerful. They are physically not more powerful. That's a factual statement. But yeah, they have created this idea. So this will come up, of course, with all this package of indoctrination, which goes from the media, from governments, Hollywood, Star Wars. It's a joke of political correctness,
Oh yeah.
the Afro-American character, the woman who is the strongest, and yeah, we're all putting this distortion of, they destroyed the story. I don't want to watch Star Wars anymore because I'm not interested in it. I will remember the 3 first and that's it. Anyways, so you will see that, and then you will have euthanasia, which is that's a de facto reduction of population. But then you will see everything at the end is aligned to this, and it all makes sense. It all makes sense, and everything I have said can be proved, and proof it's abundant. It's in it's in front of you every single day. You will see it. Where's the proof of? Open your eyes and see the world. And see how things are working. But no respected academic has written a paper. Have you checked the journals? I don't need the journals. I don't need an expert to tell me that the world is going upside down. I don't need an expert, a PhD in gender studies, which is the most ridiculous PhD in human history. If someone comes to me and says, dude, I have a PhD in human in gender studies, I'll say, well, dude, good luck. Please open the door and close it from the outside. I don't care. It's as simple as that. But anyways, this idea of the fallacy of authority, because no expert has said it, and check the media, they always repeat, according to experts, according to scientists. It's always reasserting and bombarding your psyche. You are no one. It's the experts and the scientists. But what they don't say, for instance, is that the philanthropists have tentacles everywhere, not only in supranational organizations, but they also have them on universities. The first question to be asked to these people is, okay, wonderful, whatever doctor, whatever said that. Who funds him? Who funds him? Period. Yeah. And you will find, again, the roads all of them go to Rome.
Yes.
The usual suspects, as usual. So whenever they come with this argument, according to expert, whatever, yeah, okay, who finances him? Which organizations are behind him?
I want to piggyback on that point really quickly, because I'm also a business professor of management. And so I have to notice, in the business school, we don't have this idea that socialism in its purest form is great. We don't have the crazy notions about communism. And any professor in business worth his salt wouldn't dare show his or her face if he's going to say he's a communist in business. Because if you've ever run a business, which I have, you realize how the markets need to be free markets as they are, and the way it's set up is to go with innovation. And so I just wanted to piggyback on that business schools are a little different in colleges. And so if you're encouraging your kids to go to colleges, don't be worried. Just send them to business.
Well, still, I mean, this is true. But for example, I graduated from Manchester Business School, the Alliance Manchester Business School at the University of Manchester, which is one of the largest business schools in the UK. And they are already there. They are, professors must write in their contracts that they have to say neutral pronouns or use neutral pronouns.
Really?
Yes.
Compelled speech.
Yes. So it's slowly, but inevitably so far spreading. This disease is having a metastasis all over the place. So yeah, well, anyways, so I'll go back to the idea. So you understand the agendas, how they work, what the purpose is at the end, and let's go back to the abortion thing. And then I say, okay, human beings transformed from subjects with rights to objects, plain objects. And then comes transhumanism. And for people who have never heard about transhumanism, I will lay out the most fundamental ideas, and then I will explain why it is important. Transhumanism is this philosophical movement, cultural movement, increasingly political movement, that states that human beings must be enhanced. Check the word enhanced. By the application of technologies to humans themselves, in order to increase or enhance their intellectual, physical, cognitive, even moral capabilities. And that's how we are going to transcend our human limitations and will become something much, much bigger, much, much better. Now, three major aims of transhumanists. First, super longevity. They think that some of them think that death is a disease, so we should stop dying from this disease of death, and we should aim for immortality. So basically, they will start increasing lifespan through this utilization of these technologies. The second one would be super intelligence. By super intelligence, what they say is, okay, human beings in reality are amoebas in the evolutionary process, and we need to really strengthen them and upgrade them with, let's say, artificial intelligence, Neuralink. This is the prehistory of transhumanism, to put it in some way. And perhaps we can increase our memory capabilities, we can process more information, we can just insert a chip and learn languages, so no need to learn anything. At some point we can upgrade our thoughts to the cloud, and at some point we can all generate these we are the world, we are the children kind of post-human world where we have this mega collective intelligence. Okay, and then you will have super well-being. It doesn't really matter if you have a long life and you're super intelligent if the quality of your life is going to be garbage. So what you have to look for is to have a wonderful, a super well-being life. And what's the underpinning concept here? David Pierce, the hedonistic imperative. Life is going to be great because it's going to be full of pleasure.
Wow.
That's it. Now.
Then,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that someone listening to this beautiful, elegant explanation that you just gave us, sorry about that, someone might say, without entering into too many details, and I know you're going to go there in a moment, they would say, what's wrong with that? Because let's say my grandmother had or has some, hearing problems, so we can get some hearing aids. That's a positive application of, I would say, transhumanism, because you can actually, my grandmother's not going to be able to do something she couldn't do, and it would be great because now she can hear things better.
Wonderful.
Yeah, where do we draw the line?
Wonderful question, because you can draw a line. The line is between therapeutic applications of technology and non-therapeutic applications of technology. Technology that serves the human being and not the human being serving technology. That distinction is crucial. And this is a fundamental distinction. Transhumanism is not medicine. And they hijack, medical or therapeutical causes to present it as a very positive case. But yes, well, in fact, if we have used prosthetics, for this poor man that was in a railroad and the train came over and, cut his arms and legs, who is going to be against that man having a prosthetic that can allow him to move things or to walk? Who could possibly be against? That's the biggest lie. I love technology. I find technology is wonderful. I love the possibilities that are open with artificial intelligence, with genetics, with biotechnology, with nanotechnology, quantum computing. I'm all in to that. Wonderful. Let's explore. But that I am in favor of that when technology is serving human beings and not the opposite, which is what happens now. Who owns those technologies? Do we own them? No. It's who are the owners? Duh. And it's not only that they own artificial intelligence. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, they work even with the Chinese. Facebook works with the Chinese government to enhance their censorship algorithms. Really?
Wow.
Okay. So who owns that technology? And these guys are not only involved in their big tech companies with all the zillions of dollars that they have. What they do is they diversify their investments. So where do they invest? Biotech companies, nanotech companies. They invest in robotics. They invest in food chains. They invest in everything. At the end, what happens? The concentration and verticalization of political power and economic power. Through their economic power, they purchase political power. They privatize political power. See Biden and the Democrats. For God's sake, whoever tells me that guy, I don't know, this is on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, well, be careful.
Oh, you can say, don't worry, you can say what you want. I haven't had them worry about my channel because it's kind of small so far.
No, you never know. You never know. Let's put it this way. In the most transparent elections in human history, Joe Biden was elected the 46th president of the United States, and whoever dares to question that absolute truth is a bigot. Okay, let's put it that way. The most transparent election in human history. Anyways, what is the Democrat Party now? And it's not only the Democrat Party in the States. Who funded the Democrat Party? Who donated to the Democrat Party?
Yeah,
Probably those same people.
Not probably, factually. I'm not speculating here. These are public. This is public information. And who supports, the European Union oligarchs and
China
representatives? Who has these wonderful ties with China?
Yeah.
Bill Gates has a relationship with the Chinese Communist Party dating back in 1992. In 1994, he met with then President Hu Jintao. No, Jiang Zemin, sorry. That was the president by then. He met with Jiang Zemin. In 2014, he was received as a head of state in China. And since then, Bill Gates has become a de facto member of the Communist Party of China. Of course, how can you say that? Maybe he's not a member officially, or maybe he is, but no one has shown his credentials. But he is very, very well known. He's the most influential Westerner inside the Communist Party in China. Period. And no head of state ever, no other billionaire ever will have the level of trust and acceptance that Bill Gates has within the Communist Chinese Party. Not only with Jiang Zemin, but then Hu Jintao, and then Xi Jinping.
Wow. Yeah, and China's human rights violations, the 1.8 million Uyghurs right now that are being tortured. I mean, it's just, and then what they've done with Jack Ma and Alibaba.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be wealthy in China.
Oh, he got too big. You're getting too annoying.
Yeah, and the problem is we're not allowed to criticize Xi Jinping because, remember, he's a minority, and we're not allowed to criticize minorities because he's that would be racist to say anything against.
Oh, yes, you can say the Spanish flu and the Brazilian variant, but you cannot say the Chinese bug.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question here from someone in the audience, Hate Love Nothing. They said, can transhumanism ever reach escape velocity, becoming fully inhuman? What does the doctor think of the furry other kin people? Because if can it actually change us from being like souls with souls to without souls, I guess you'd say.
At this point, it's science fiction. It's speculation. You will find different variants of transhumanism. Transhumanism is not a single ideology. It has common principles, but within the transhumanist movement, you will find extropians, you will find posthumanists, and you will find singularitarians, for instance. What the question touches upon is based on posthuman varieties. Posthumans think that our physical bodies at some point, whether they are natural or manufactured, will be irrelevant, because at some point we will be a collection, like a not even a spirit, because they don't like those concepts. It's like a complex moving set of bits and bytes or whatever package of information that will be roaming around with other intelligences in this world, which will be the metaverse, not the universe, the metaverse, and we will generate this huge collective intelligence. But they are the scientists. They are the ones who believe in science, by the way. Yeah, it's incredible. It's well. In anyways, what I was going, and with this I close this idea. So it is these distinctions are fundamental. Don't get fooled by transhumanism when they hijack medical progress and therapeutical applications for good, when they are trying, for example, to use it to literally, smuggle other things. Like, for example, I would be fully in if through genetic therapy you could cure genetic diseases in children. Full blown, I'm in 100%. But I am not in, for example, using that same technology in mixing genes from species to create chimeras. Or I'm not in
Yeah.
on the idea of having designer babies, because that's eugenics. We know the experience with eugenics already. Some traits
Nazis.
are good, some traits are not. But they say, because everything is so clever, oh, that was bad. That Hitler, Nazi devil, ooh, he's so bad. Why it was bad? Because that was negative eugenics. That's how they put it. That was negative eugenics. They were trying to get rid actively away from, eliminating bad traits. But ours is not negative. Ours is positive. Ours is positive eugenics, because we don't want to eliminate the bad. We just want to enhance the good ones. But hello, we love the world. And you racists don't dare to, apply to your hate speech or whatever. Who are you? Whatever. That's how they work. That's how they work. At the
Yeah.
end, it's eugenics. So one thing is that the medical applications, and the other ones is when you start thinking of, modifying our humanity just because we think we are free to do whatever we want to do with our bodies. Now, this is with this I want to close up this idea. This is why transhumanism clashes with Christianity so badly, and why why the Christian faith is such a frontal enemy. It's an enemy of transhumanism and the progressive agenda. Why? Because Christianity provides absolute values and principles. It's a religious deontological ethics. So you won't kill. You will honor your father and your mother. You will have a series of principles that you have to respect. Yes or yes. Period. And when you have absolutes, that thing clashes with transhumanism. Transhumanism demands the complete relativization of human beings, and you achieve that relativization when you transform a human being from a subject with rights to an object. And when you think of this, when you remember these modifications, and we can do whatever we want because we are free, and they say, well, think of these categories: transgender, trans species, trans age, transracial, trans whatever, trans capable. Okay, these trans categories are previous or pre or proto transhumanisms. Why? Because at the end, in the name of diversity, what you do is you go beyond absolute self-evident truths, like, for example, a man and a woman naked next to each other. Even a 3-year-old kid will be able to see the difference. These are self-evident truths. But these people, which are relativistic and at the core, will say, well, no, we are socially constructed. That's, you can do whatever you want with your body. Those are minor differences. What they are doing is they are, in the name of diversity, what they are doing is they are standardizing human beings. What's the standard? Clay. We are clay. And based on that clay, with technology as our tools, we can build whatever we want. There's a Christian principle, or a Christian, say that we are all created at the image of God. That clashes directly with transhumanism. And that goes with my own view of perfection, or my own view of my phenomenological view of the world. I don't want that. I want to be, the lizard man. I want to be the dark angel lady. I want to be the pony. I don't feel like a human. I feel more like a dog. And then you start, do you understand where all this does? This is what.
Absolutely.
This is in general my let's say my main contribution to the debate. It's not speculative. I can prove every single thing I'm saying with it. Plenty of examples. It not only does it make sense, because that's actually how things are working now. People would say, why would this elite look? Oh, this guy is crazy. He's thinking this elite is trying to control us and create transhuman concentration camps. I'm not saying that. You don't need that. For the degradation of a civilization, you don't need to. The worst degradation is the one that comes within. The decomposition from inside, when you have these kids that are willing to, cut their sexual organs, because they feel they are from a different whatever, or when they start implanting chips in their bodies, or when they are willing to cut their, if someone cuts its sexual organ, why wouldn't at some point someone else cut his arms to put bionic arms?
That's a fair point.
And then once you open the door, it doesn't matter if it's 3, 5, 6, no, if it's 1 million, even if it's a tiny minority, the idea of human being as such is completely destroyed. Why? Because you will have laws that will enforce that. Or you cannot say those people need medical treatment or psychological treatment, hate speech. The system will silence you. Why? Because at the end, as from aesthetic changes, because at the end these are aesthetic changes, but then go to the demographics. At the end, what they will want is to outsource human reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
they have already achieved certain feats. For example, octogenesis. The idea of growing embryos outside the mother's uterus.
Mm-hmm.
It's already a possibility. It's not science fiction. Or when you have, I don't know, producing sperms or sperm cells or gametes from stem cells. This has already been done. What happens? What implications does that have? For men is that men become useless.
Wow. That what you're saying is super interesting. And I think it goes back to what you said with made in God's image and how important that is, because in every single one of these examples, starting from abortion and going all down the line, every one of these examples is a rebellion against God, where it's saying, okay, I don't like what you did or what you gave me or the body you put me in. And so I'm going to go ahead and change it. Or I'm going to go ahead and say that personhood is not conferred at conception. Rather, it's on some arbitrary time, like at the 20-week mark or when the baby goes through the birth canal. And then you get like people like you mentioned, Peter Singer, thinking, well, the baby's born, and what if the parents don't want the baby? Maybe we should just go ahead and cut the baby off then.
Yeah, no, there was a paper written in 2013, 14, or 15, I don't remember, by Giubilini and Minerva, these Italian authors, that they called a post-birth abortion, which is, just playing with the words and saying you kill the baby even if it's born outside the mother.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
To that
That's
level.
What got me. That's got me. See, what happened to me was I was pregnant with my second child and I was in my 30s, and I was worried, of course, about Down syndrome. And so I go in to get an amniocentesis, and the woman says, oh, hey, you have two soft markers for Down syndrome, but don't worry. And at this point, I'm like, this is 17 or 18 weeks into it, or maybe 16 weeks, I forget. But don't worry, you can go ahead and terminate the pregnancy if you find out that he has Down syndrome. And I thought, are you kidding me? I'm looking at this fully formed, cute little body with little arms and little legs, and you're telling me I'm just going to go kill him because he's not, the ideal?
Now they don't say you even that terminate. No, they will interrupt.
That's so true. Yeah,
they're going to interrupt.
Terminology.
I mean, you can construct as Wittgenstein, very brilliant man. He found that you can build realities with language.
Yeah. Well, calling it a clump of cells or, termination of pregnancy, all those terms that they use.
It's not a person.
It's a person,
Remember
though.
the word person. So, yeah, I mean, those are basically my ideas. And I have been discussing this. I've been working these ideas, not now. I have been working on them since 2016, April. By then, people thought I was just crazy. Mm-hmm. And I have seen what I would say what has given me some kind of personal relief and, let's say, satisfaction is that all the crazy things that I was saying or thinking of, which I'm not the only one. There's other people who have been thinking other lines of this, but in different fields. I think my contribution is to have fully integrated the whole, because some people were working on gender issues and how it relates to politics, but to tie it with that, I think I have not seen anyone who has done this. And if someone has, I'm sorry, well, I can share that, but I will say that I have come to these conclusions on my own.
Yes.
And it shows because I can speak freely and easily about it. It's my own thinking. So that's it. I mean, where do we go? I don't know. I just
got two quick questions. Once again, what do you think for Christians who are listening to this, and that's the primary audience of this show, what do you think we Christians can do about this particular problem? And then I want to ask you about Latin America. This is a particular touchy subject for me since I'm Latino, because I'm looking at how a lot of these policies and all of this political stuff is affecting the way people think in Latin America. A lot of this stuff that was debated and people, things like abortion and that kind of stuff is now becoming a big issue in Latin America. Things like the way women used to be in the past, that is like ceasing to be, I think, because of feminism. And now we have a more aggressive wave of feminism there that is infiltrating everywhere. So let's, I know it's a lot to take on, but I just want to ask you first, what can we do about transhumanism? Anyone who's concerned about this, what can we do about it?
Well, first things first. The first thing you must do is you have to know what are you fighting against. So the first thing to do is you have to know what how your enemy looks like, what your enemy is. So basic first thing you have to do is learn about these things. They will make no sense. You will see, oh, these transhumanist guys are just so crazy. It's not just that they are crazy. If you read the definition of the fourth industrial revolution, which is and promoted by the World Economic Forum, you will find that the World Economic Forum defines the fourth industrial revolution as the fusion of biological, technological, and digital systems. In other words, the fourth industrial revolution is transhumanism made global public policy. Period. So that's why it's important. Take these crazy guys seriously. Okay? So, number one, learn about this. Learn about the technologies. Learn about artificial intelligence. Learn about biotech. Learn about CRISPR, the CRISPR technique, which is fundamental. Learn some about robotics, blockchain, quantum computing. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be an expert, but you need to be a well-informed person, because then you will see things start making sense because you know where the technology is at. If I had said, like, oh yes, ectogenesis, and women will start having, ceasing to have children, we will have them outside in machines, people will say, oh, this guy is so stupid. It's already happening. The technology is there, and they will reach to a point where women are not needed to, grow a child. There will be a point where men will not need to donate sperm. Why? Because that technological ignorance is so big. So that's the first thing. Second, I think praying is wonderful. It's a connection with God, but action is also equally wonderful. And there's so much people can take and must take. And of course, I cannot say openly here because we know just whatever people are thinking in their heads that they should do. Well, that's what they should do. Get together and do what you have to do, what you think you must do.
Yeah.
We all know what we have to do. Organize ourselves. And what happens with the bully? What do you do with the bully?
I want to say, let me just say something. I like what you've done today, because what you've done is you've taken all of these disparate issues, that seemingly disparate issues, and you've united them under the umbrella of the World Economic Forum in a way. And I looked at what it takes to be a member of the World Economic Forum, and it's like something like over $60,000 per year.
Oh, that's the peasant membership.
Oh, that's the peasant membership. So it's all these wealthy people. So actually, I'm seeing now where the enemy is. You said identify the enemy, so it comes down through the World Economic Forum, also through the communist lens and these other lenses, and it's just is really interesting.
Let's put it this way, just to clarify. It's not only the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum, let's put it, it's the most visible platform. It's not the only one. You will have, these billionaires have a set of meetings throughout the year. They kick off the year with the World Economic Forum, the meeting in Davos in January, but they have the International Monetary Fund meetings, the World Bank meetings, the They have, I don't know, the Aspen Institute, Council of Foreign Affairs, all these are different places where they meet. Even the Bilderberg thing, which is not as big as people think. Yes, might there be Masonic people? Yes, the Illuminati, I don't know. It's irrelevant. What you will find is that at the top of power, you will find big tech, big finance, big pharma, big energy, big construction,
big food,
and the guys behind that. When people say the elite, and who are the masters, it's the New World Order. Yeah, it's openly a New World Order because they are trying to reconfigure the political and economic orders of the past. It's a factual thing. That's not a conspiracy. It's proven. It's in front of us. And who are the guys? It's not Biden. Biden is a poor man who doesn't even know where he's standing at this point. That's Biden. Biden doesn't have a clue where he is. He's just told, Joe, this is your script. Good luck, Paul. That's it. That's our reality.
I'm not gonna say that he has. I'm not gonna say that he has dementia. I'm just gonna say that he looks like my grandfather when he was like in his 80s, 90s. I'm just gonna leave it at that. People know whether what that means. I'm not gonna even get into that. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to agree with you on that, and I think that the fact that they're controlling social media, they're controlling the media narratives, and they're kicking even people like our president. I'm sorry, how do people not protest to the fact that a world leader, a sitting president, is kicked off of Twitter?
Well, that proves you the fact that political power is being displaced by private corporations. What we are reaching right now is a kind of techno-fascism at a global scale, where at least in the East they have no problems. In China, no problems. It is the Communist Party, and that's it. And everyone plays sings the songs and dances the music that the Chinese Communist Party, in particular Xi Jinping, puts. Period. Jack Ma is a clear case in point. But in the West, it's not the case. In the West, what is happening is that nation states and governments have been eroded, and now the political power has been privatized by these philanthropes who are behind the scenes. Nobody has elected them, but they are, they're setting the game. They are putting the conditions. They are setting institutions. They are shaping the world according to their own view of progress. And let's say to put it in more global terms, as I said, it's not the World Economic Forum alone. And don't think, please, that Klaus Schwab, this kind of Lex Luthor who speaks like in the past 3 years, he speaks in this horrible English. That guy is he's just a high-profile public relations employee. That guy doesn't have any real power, period. His price was, okay, you are committed to the agenda. You are going to push it on our behalf. You're a good servant. You will become chair of the World Economic Forum. People will think actually that you're powerful. We know that you aren't, but for your ego, you will show that you have some power. And yes, you can shake hands with all the leaders. You can take pictures with us. You can write articles on foreign policy. You can say that you were the author of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. It doesn't matter. So the big guys are the ones with the big bucks, period.
Of course. Let me just ask you my final question on my end. I don't know if we have any questions from the audience, but let's I just want to ask you this question about Latin America, because I'm seeing all of this stuff that is happening here is now like migrating heavily into Latin America. I'm seeing that Planned Parenthood,
abortions, pro-choice,
that stuff, they are funding and they are investing millions and millions of dollars throughout Latin America just to promote that agenda. Now, something I never saw in the past, I'm seeing now people who have this thing of I identify as X, Y, or Z. I'm seeing that there, that like here is a normal thing, but there it is shocking to see. Because, and I'm seeing people even talking about Latinx, woman, what is it? How do you say woman with the X, like womax or something like that?
Yeah. Well, in Latin America, we are giving a huge, massive fight. They must be really frustrated because they have spent so many $1 million, and The masses are still resisting.
Awesome.
Incredibly, Latin America and Africa are the last bastions of what civilization is. Really, we're giving the fight. And let's say you can put in that group Hungary and Poland in Europe. Russia, incredibly, Russia. Why do you think they're attacking Russia so much? I've never been pro-Russia, but in these current circumstances, I respect Putin very much. He's a leader that he's defending not only his country, but he's defending sanity. He's not in with all this crap. He doesn't. That's why they are creating the conditions for a conflict right now in Ukraine, and that's why they are enclosing also Erdogan in Turkey. And why? Because Erdogan is also a nationalist guy who believes in that, division between men and women and traditional values, and from his Muslim perspective. But you will see, the Pravda of the progressive agenda, which is the Economist from the UK. It's a pamphlet of propaganda. They provide the narrative, among other media outlets, to demonize these leaders and these countries. But they are in the fight. So what happens in Latin America, I don't know how much we will resist, but we are putting the fight. I am contributing to that fight. Other friends are also, and yeah, we are willing to take it to the last consequences. We are not giving our freedoms like that.
And I feel so bad for you guys, because you guys are, this is a tough fight, in the sense that you guys don't have any multinational backing you up or something. It's just you have a lot of billions of dollars being poured into Latin America to advance these agendas, and you guys have to fight against all of this. I feel so bad, because at least here we have certain, think tanks or anything, and you can say anything about the think tanks. You can say it's all political, but at least you have some backing. There, you guys have nothing.
But let's put it this way. Yes, it's true. We are fighting with our, just our will. But our responses have been more successful than yours.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
It is
so
true.
Let me just we're using up a lot of your time, and I know it's later at night right now.
I have another event in 34 minutes at which I have to prepare, but I am happy to give 5 more minutes.
5 minutes is perfect. I just wanted to first if you guys haven't yet subscribed to Dr. Lucas's channel, please go over and subscribe to his channel. I've got it in the description, so you can go over there. And I wanted to if anyone has any questions, we've got just a couple minutes here, so you have to quickly put it out there. But I've really enjoyed this. I've learned a ton today, and I've learned great ways to unify some of the thoughts that have been in my mind and bugging me. I don't know if you know, but I left the Democrats. About the same time you started looking into this was about the time I was busy leaving the Democrats. So,
it was.
And I'm a conservative. I consider myself a conservative now. I feel like they've ruined
Welcome to the club.
Yes.
The club of sanity, it's as simple as that. In other conditions, I would not have labeled myself as a conservative, but in the current state of things, I am a proud conservative. I want to conserve human beauty, human nature, human kindness, human spirit, and everything that makes us so unique. With all our flaws, yes, well, that's why you have medicine, but not this vision that is just distorting humanity in such ways that the danger is that we never come back the same. And that's what I'm fighting for at the end of the day. So for all the people who have been in the show, thank you so much for participating. For you, to you, Joel, Stephanie, thank you for your invitation. I hope it has been, interesting. At least you can come up with some new ideas. I will keep doing work. On Tuesday, I'm uploading a video where I interview Professor Mark Köckelberg, who is an expert on ethics and artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow.
These interviews are in English with Spanish subtitles, because I think I have to broaden the worldview of my fellow Latin Americans, because they are too stuck in there. So I am importing ideas from the Anglo-Saxon world, but I also can, people from English speaking, who speak English can also access my video. So, and I have a team of designers now working for me. It's for free. I didn't pay a penny. They are big fans of my work, and they say, we're going to support you. And I said, well, welcome. I'm so happy. So now my videos are going to start looking more professional. And so, yeah, thank you very much for your invitation. It has been a pleasure. And you can visit me in my channel.
Yeah, you guys,
Thank you
please
so
go
much.
subscribe. And Joel is the one who introduced me to you, and so I want to thank Joel. Also, he's gotten some great people on here, and so and you guys, please like, subscribe to this channel if you've enjoyed this kind of content.
Yes.
I've loved having you here. Now, you said you're moving to Florida. One last quick question: do you know where in Florida yet?
I won't say that,
Oh,
but
okay.
I will say when I will email you certainly.
Okay, good.
Okay,
It's
we
always
will
good to have
keep.
another Florida neighbor.
Yes, and at some point in the near future, in the far future, I'll be moving to Florida. We will keep it that way.
Awesome.
Never know.
Yeah.
but
At some point we get to see him over here because we're a little more sane in this state than people are in other states in the United States.
exactly.
For now,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I like Florida because it's so convenient to Latin America. If they invite me to countries to give lectures or whatever, I can be in the Dominican Republic in 2.5 hours. I
Oh,
can
yeah.
be in Mexico in 2 hours. I can be in Lima in 5.5 hours. So it's wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, who knows? We might be neighbors in the future.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. Please come again, and just remember, no matter whether you eat, drink, or whatever you do, do it all in the glory of God. So I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast.